I've been informed by Z Kuker 88's video Don't Understand the Trinity that God has three persons in one entity. To clarify, I am not convinced God exists, so that makes me an atheist. However, I am willing to entertain your ideas in this video so that I can evaluate their merit. In your video, you present your interpolation of the New Testament's Matthew chapter 28, verse 18, where Jesus talks about baptizing people in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You elucidate that each, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, is independent of each other, but at the same time the same being. If God can make 3 equal 1, then as you say in your video, he is not bound by the rules of logic. And so the question arises, if God really does exist, and he is not bound by the rules of logic, then how can you infer anything about him? If this was really true, God could appear to the entire world, prove his existence, but then correctly go on to say that he does not exist. He can reward the people he favors by sending them to hell, and he could punish the people he disfavors by sending them to heaven. He could be entirely evil, but completely holy at the same time. He could even make it so that the only way we could ever gain friendship is by forcing pennies and thumbtacks down other people's throats. He could change the result of 2 plus 2 every nanosecond. He could be inconsistent and consistent at the same time. Therefore, there would be no way for us to deduce what the desires of God are. I'd also like to know, if God is omnipotent, as you say, why does he need 3 forms to complete his task as God? In the video, he tries to rationalize the 3 persons in one entity of God being the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit by comparing that to time, which is the past, the present, and the future. Admittedly, I'm not a science student. Nevertheless, I think that this comparison is essentially flawed. That's because no one can ever be in the future or the past. Even if you were to get into a time machine and travel into the future or the past, once you reach your destination, it would still be the present. So, in a sense, the future and the past don't really exist outside of conceptual relative measurements, which we use to express the change that we experience. Regardless of that fact, an entity which has 3 persons, each of which is independent of one another, is not analogous to the increments of our conceptual measurements, such as time, because the increments are each dependent on one another. You attempt to reassure those of us who don't understand or are in doubt of your incomprehensible Trinity doctrine by saying that we should just be content and humble, because, according to you, God made us so stupid that we can't even understand him. You try to impress a sense of hope into the believers who are watching your video by saying that God will give them the answers when they die. And I would like to know how you make that deduction with such certitude, especially when God can make 1 3. I mean, how do you know he'll give you any answers? And I would also like to know, if he can give us answers when we're dead to these questions, why doesn't he give us the answers now, when they're actually useful? The last major issue I take with you is when you said this.
So, how do we know that these 3 persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, are God? Each of them are prayed to, worshipped, and called God. Additionally, Jesus forgives sins and sends prophets.
With those silly qualifications, this thumbtack would be God if I worship, prayed, and called it God. And what do you know? Franklin Roosevelt, on this dime, forgives me my iniquities. That's enough of me ranting and contributing to this whole white noise of atheists bickering with theists on YouTube. Anyway, happy old cheap Easter candy day to everyone!